Hey there, beautiful souls. I'm Colynn Hlokoff.
And I'm Meridee Hlokoff.
And welcome to Spiritual Sisters with Sass, the podcast where two sisters with a passion for spirituality and a touch of sass come together to explore the exciting world of self-improvement.
That's right, Colynn. We embarked on this incredible journey together, diving into different self-improvement techniques, yoga practices, and a whole array of life experiences.
Yeah, and through it all, we've managed to create lives that are abundant, happy, and constantly evolving. It's been a wild ride, hasn't it, Meridee?
You bet, sis. We've got two very different perspectives on life, but that's what makes this podcast so special. I'm all about diving in head first into life's adventures and embracing every challenge with a bit of sass. While Colynn here, she's got her own unique approach.
Yep, that's me. And I'm all about the yoga, mindfulness, and finding my zen. And together we make the perfect balance.
So whether you're looking for some wisdom, a few laughs, or just some heartfelt stories, you're in the right place. We're here to share our personal experiences and insights with you, all while exploring the wild and diverse world of self-improvement.
So grab your headphones and get ready for a fantastic journey with us. Spiritual Sisters with Sass is here to uplift, inspire, and keep it real.
Thanks for tuning in, lovely listeners. Let's dive in.
Spirit and sass. Here we go. All right, so we'll start here. All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we're looking at like work-life balance. You know, how, if you have it, how do you have it? And if you don't have it, like how can we create that? So the reason that we're talking about this today is because anyone that's been following knows that I've been avidly running for the past 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay. Training for a marathon, 42.2 kilometers, 26 miles in Vancouver, Sunday, May the 5th. And I have been, I'm up to working out 5 times per week, running 4 days per week, and then walking on days off. And a couple weeks ago, I did an 18K run and my knees started to hurt. And so I remember I recognized what I was doing that was different because it was from a shoulder pain. So I kind of linked my thumb into my running vest. And then after 12K, I think the change in my stance started to affect the knee in a weird rubby way. And then my knee started to hurt. I stopped a couple times, stretched it, started thinking like, what am I doing different? And then started running again with both hands. It eased off a bit, but then I drove for an hour and a half, like in the passenger seat, got home and couldn't really walk on it that well. I've been icing it, doing all the things, and of course went out for a run and it hurt. And so every time I've been taking some days off, like a couple here and there, I was actually walking instead of running to keep up on my time out. And it doesn't hurt when I'm walking, but it hurts when I'm running. And now I'm clear, like I have to stop running. And the marathon.
With her marathon 2 weeks away.
2 weeks. So I'm really stressing, and I have a running coach, someone that I can stay accountable with, someone that I can troubleshoot with, and then now someone who can advise me in this situation. And her advising is that I have to rest. I have to continue to do my core workout, but no running and no walking for a whole week. And Saturday was supposed to be my biggest run ever. So I'm feeling a lot of things, especially being like a perfectionist and like really goal oriented. Though this is something that my coach talked about from the beginning. is, that I'm a middle-aged body that's now training to run long distances, and there will be times that my body will protest. And that often isn't just with one thing. So now that I've taken a couple days off, my other knee is hurting. And so is an attachment point on my right hip/hamstring. So I'm just feeling,
Compensating for the other side having problems.
and I'm feeling a lot because I feel like I'm not gonna, this is something I've been working towards for a whole year.
So let's talk about all the feelings that are coming up so people can hear the thoughts and the words that you're hearing.
I mean, that's really great. I didn't expect to go that way. And Meridee's relentless pursuit to make me cry is still there.
No,
I
but I
know.
just feel
I
like it
know.
would be so good for everybody to hear it because they know what you're talking
Oh,
about, but like to actually hear the words in your head because none of us voice those things.
yeah. I mean, we've done so much of this work, so it does go back to full on, like, first of all, what comes up first and foremost, remember my 3 stories. I'm unlovable, I'm a fat piece of shit, and I don't belong. So just take a moment to think in your own head, if those are your stories, what the thoughts are that are going 24/7. So it's like, this is an excuse because I can't really do it, right? Because part of the training is that I'm not actually going to run a full marathon until I'm in the marathon. And so now it's like, it's not necessarily about the unlovable part. It's about the like, remember, Colynn, you're a fat piece of shit. And I don't belong in the running community, which I don't belong in any community. Because when I say I'm a yoga teacher, I'm too fat to be a yoga teacher. In the running community, I think I've lost a lot of weight in the last year, but
Oh, you have.
see, I
Oh,
don't
you have.
know. When I look in the mirror, I see a double chin, I see my belly, I see my thighs still touching,
So
like,
we also had a conversation one time when you were in Canada and where I turned on TV and TLC was on and my 600-pound life was on and you were like, can we just turn this off? And I was like, sure. Like I wasn't really watching it. It was just kind of background noise. And you were like, all of a sudden, you were like, I feel like I look like them. And I was like, wait, what? And you were like, no joke. I feel like that's what I look like. And I was like, dude, do you feel your belly? Now, when we say this isn't judgment. This was how we worked through this body dysmorphia conversation because her belly doesn't hang to her knees. And the lady that was on there, her belly hung to her knees. She couldn't have a shower. She had to have sponge baths. She had sores from all the rolls and had to pet baby them. Like there was levels here that you have never come near. And yet when you saw her, you were like, that's what I look like.
there's a thumbs up.
Right? No.
Yeah, I still haven't journeyed far from that. The other day I saw like a cover photo for the show, and I don't know if it's maybe, in nursing, I dealt with a lot of heavier people that had all of these things. Like yeast infections in your rolls are a thing, and under your floppy boobs. Like I have floppy boobs, so just know that under them, I could, if I didn't lift them up and clean them under them all the time, I too could have a yeast infection in any of my folds. So I don't know if it's maybe a little bit, and I do know. I just talked about like a whole the other day, just not saying I don't know. It is like a desensitization to being part of that, I think, for so long, and then having a shitty story about in my head. Because I looked at the cover photo and I thought, is that really 600 pounds? Because it doesn't look that big to me. And I identify as similarly still, and yet people constantly are saying things about like, oh, you look like you lost a lot of weight and you look very active. Like people say things even
Yeah,
though
you're fit.
right?
She doesn't feel the fit, even though she's probably one of the strongest people, especially in yoga poses that you've ever met. So, and stronger because you're not 100 pounds, because you have to hold yourself in these poses, not being a size 00.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, that the things you're saying, like take me back to that place, which I tried to really convince you weren't because it just
Hmm.
upset me so bad because how can you picture that that's what you look like when there is nothing related to that? you're not half of their weight. You're a third of their weight. And at that, which you're probably lighter than that, significantly lighter than that, but even at a third of their weight, like, do you see that other 2/3? Like, that's a big difference. Like, a 400-pound person added to you is one of those people, and yet you see yourself like they are, right?
Fair.
Like,
Fair.
so
I mean, to get back to what you were saying is just constantly like going around in my head, this is just an excuse. You know, I like encouraged my body to get hurt and I like literally I'm a piece of shit. I can't finish
or
it.
we can push through this. It'll be just fine. I shouldn't be
That's
sitting on my ass.
shit, dude, the other day I'm running. So it was like Friday. I'm going for a run to see what happens with my knee. So she says, don't run up or down any hills. Which is, that's all freaking Costa Rica
Lives up and
is.
down hills.
So, but there's like one hill that I do at the end of my 6K, like in the middle of my 6K run that is a significant hill up and then back down. And I've been doing a lot of hills, and I think that's part of the issue with the knees. Anyways, so I get to it and then I turn around and I come back, been running about 38 minutes and then it starts to hurt. But it's just like an annoying pain, right? Like any tattoo. Like it's annoying, but I know that if I keep going, I'm going to damage
It's gonna
myself.
get
So
bad.
I'll keep pushing like, no, this is just a wimpy, like this is a thought. It's not really true. Keep pushing, keep pushing. And then I come to a point where I recognize like if I keep going, I will be down. Like I could
Yeah.
possibly be walking with crutches because I'll hurt my knee bad enough. It's time to walk. And then I walk and the whole time I'm like, well, it's funny because now I've literally developed some coping skills that are internally saying it's okay. Like this is okay. It's okay that you're walking, like you're taking care of yourself. So that is a new concept. It's not like you piece of shit, but they do try to make their way in there
Yeah.
because that's 44 years of like programming just running around in there. Yet it is shifting. I
It's
based
getting
on
quieter. It's still
Mhm.
happening, but it's significantly quieter while the compassion is louder now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I
Um,
thought like this we can apply to anything. And I mean, how you do anything is how you do everything.
well, can we stop for a sec? The way the knee started is because you had a
Right.
sore shoulder that you paid no attention to.
I paid attention to, but not in a healthy way. Yeah, like I discarded, I was quite honest.
You didn't acknowledge it and go, okay, what's happening to me right now that's causing this to happen in my shoulder? Like we know that when my shoulder went out, my neck went out, my rib was out right before tax season started.
That's true. That's
And I
funny.
was ready, like it was I was so uncomfortable. I was in pain, but I was so uncomfortable. There was just this constant irritation in my shoulder that was then radiating up my neck. And because I didn't pay attention to the shoulder, because, oh, I'm just lifting weights, like same excuses that you're using. Oh, it's just this. Oh, it's just that. Well, I was lifting weights today. Well, I did this. We can excuse away all of the things that happen. When my naturopath was like, let's talk about your thyroid. I was like, she's like, are you tired? Yeah, I work a lot. Are you having these symptoms? Yeah, sure. I crash at 2 o'clock. Well, are you able to bounce back? A lot of people bounce back. No, maybe I'm not able to bounce back, but I work a lot. Are you having any of these other symptoms? Da, 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 da. And I'd be like, yes to that because of this, yes to that because of this, yes to that because of this. And she went, you just explained away every thyroid symptom that you had. And yet it's a thyroid symptom. And you're telling me all the reasons you should have it, when really the reason you have it is because your thyroid's not working, not because of you working too much. And I was like, oh, she said you working too much is you not acknowledging enough stuff. So that's why it's coming up.
Dude, I
Same
just
as
went
my shoulder.
like my brain exploded. So for years, what happens when I start doing too much is that my shoulders hurt.
Mhm.
And my right one is like the damaged one because the left one I hurt, but I like PT'd it, like I physiotherapied it and healed it fully. This one I never really did anything about. Side note, went to an ayahuasca ceremony. The shaman was like by donation taking demons out of our body. And at that time, this was still healing. So I was like, well, fuck it. Because they're like, if you have any major pains or anything, it could be like this demon. So I'm like, okay, Sure, sounds good. She took a demon out of my left shoulder. She said there was one. And I didn't do the right. So I constantly think about going back to get the right shoulder
Yeah,
done.
I feel that.
But anyways, just a little side note. My shoulders always are significers, signifiers.
Significant. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
As I'm doing too much. And there it came up. And I was doing too much because I was doing a lot of practice. Like I was well aware of all the things. So I was conscious, but because
You're
it was
unconsciously conscious?
because it was a repeated pattern, I didn't pay any extra attention to it. And so when it was hurting, I wasn't thinking on anything other than like give it a break. But here I was like even running shit from an Airbnb because we're traveling because we had to do this on a busy day. And wow. So this beep, 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 like warning came up. And because it's such a pattern, I like literally ignored it, but still knew it was
Bypassed it.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then went for a run
So
and
my
decided to
body's
put
like,
your hand
oh, you
inside.
don't want to listen?
What does it always do? I was whispering, bitch, now you get a smack in the face. Wake up.
Wow.
Yeah. So it always starts somewhere, even if you don't acknowledge that it started somewhere. So for me, it was my shoulder. More often than not, it used to be. Now, because I've got this different trainer and we're training so very differently,
Right.
I don't have the same pains I had before. Yes, I still get the headaches. Yes, the tension still comes up into my shoulders, but I think the majority of us have that because when your energy is trying to move through your body, it moves from your root chakra up and out. And we always catch it right here at our chest and say, no, you stay the fuck down there because it hurts too much to feel this. And that's where the pain then kind of surfaces and just hits here because it's not allowed to leave.
Right. It's
Right.
amazing to think about my attention. I talk about your connection with your body because this is my body saying like, hey, like you're there. Here you, I feel like I'm in flow again. I've been preaching depression for the past, like what? I don't even know, like 10 months now.
Yeah.
And now I'm back in flow. And interestingly enough, my body was like, hey, you're doing too much. And I just kept doing the thing, but like there's a new pain. And so that's easier to pay attention to. But the new pain, the whisper was ignored. And the new pain is like a slap. If you
And
keep
can we talk
going,
about the fact that when you say I'm in flow, what's the comment that your fiance just made to you? I'm just saying. What did he say?
so yesterday was so like about how my computer is my new boyfriend.
Yeah.
That
So
I'm in a
in
relationship.
flow to Lynn is in pattern and working too much. And I get it because she's suddenly excited again about what the thing she's
Well,
doing
there's
and the
so
thing
many
she's
things
putting
I have
out.
to do to get the launch going.
I feel like in our minds, we also have this like embedded thought process of like just get it done, because I'm the type of person who, like, when I start something, it's really hard for me to stop doing it until it's complete. So like I should have stopped at 5 o'clock yesterday, and yet I worked on it till say 11 o'clock last night, and then I woke up this morning and started again. That would be a normal pattern for me. Yeah. Where's your you time? And that's some of the things we're going to talk about at the end of this, is giving you guys some tips to make sure that you don't end up in the place that we're in right now, because we've done this over and over and over again. And this is us working through not doing this over and over again. So I have 2 weeks left of tax season. And how do I, like, when people asked me this year, I found myself actually saying something really interesting. People are like, oh, it's your busy time of year. I'm like, it totally is. But last year it didn't really seem to slow down. Interesting. Like it did, because I wasn't suddenly with people all the time. But at the same time, I haven't taken the time off that I typically would have taken since last tax season. I didn't take, like, I did come see you, but like normally I'd take a little more time off. I'd enjoy a lot more of my summer. Like the kids were busy and there were things like that we just didn't do all the things. What just surfaced for you? I saw a
was
face.
just like, for you, I hear you saying this, and at the same time, you're like, I remember you saying I have time. and then you took a digital marketing course,
Yeah.
and then you signed up with a coach.
Uh-huh.
Then you took you're creating a little wall back there of
Huh?
certificates that you received when you were in your downtime.
Time. Yeah.
Shit, I didn't even clearly see that. I saw it as a healthy practice. Yeah, you have the space.
I had way too much time on my hands. I did nutritional coaching. I did
Yeah.
I did another life coaching
Yep.
certification. Then I did my coaching with you and my my what is it?
Past life
Regression
regression.
training.
Yep.
Literally I was just like, ooh, let's just take all the things. So it didn't really slow down.
And yoga teacher training, in that you've been watching videos here and there, preparing for tax
I spent the
season.
first full month watching videos of doing my yoga teacher training, and then all of a sudden decided to hire a coach and was like, and they were like, so there's about 5 hours of work you need to do before you meet with Nick. And I was like, okay, well, hello, I'm gonna get that done in a day. It's only 5 hours. So I sat down and pounded through that, but his content was so good that I was like, oh, I have to keep going. And I just every day for hours and hours, I would sit and do these videos, or I would sit and do, you name it. I was finding things to keep myself occupied or busy. I felt more productive. Of course, I made more money throughout the year by consistently staying busier. But how do we find a way? Because I've also had years now, when I say that, I've also had years where I literally was like, I'm done now. June came, August came, June, July, August came, and I was like, peace out, I'll be at the lake. And that's the only place you would have found me, was on my paddleboard or on a boat or whatever. So I've had those years as well. But finding a balance between the two is really the major goal here, because even incorporating having the 200 people a month that I want, it will take a bit more time on the phone if I'm doing the bookings for these people. But other than that, my time should not really have much. Most of the people that have worked for me have been doing it for a long time. They're very settled in their roles. They know what to do. They shouldn't need very much of me when it comes down to it. So that part of it feels like it can move in flow. But can Meridee chill herself out enough to sit? And I feel like that's what I've kind of also learned to do, is when these things surface, to sit in it. I got sick during tax season. Instead of pushing my way through, which is what I always do, getting other people sick, which is not what I typically do. I actually took the time off and was like, sorry, girls, you're gonna have to reschedule my days. I just can't. And now they're not just rescheduling 5 people. They're rescheduling 25 people for that day. And now we have to find time for them at a later date.
Right.
So definitely finding some happy in between, because I know I couldn't live my life if this is what my life looked like 10 months of the year, even 3 months of the year, because 2.5 months, I'm just like, it's time. I need to take some time.
It's amazing, because I feel like what you're explaining is exactly just how I've been. In fact, I was looking back for I can't remember what I was looking back for, but something in my schedule. And in it, it was just it was pretty crazy. Oh, I know, it was my phone and the photos. And so it was just teacher training, and then a border run leaving the country, going to Mexico or something, and then another teacher training, and then another teacher training, and then a day. It's just insane how I've spent the last.
Your schedule was nutty. And I remember even saying to you, if I had to live my life like this, I wouldn't be able to live my life like this.
Fucking loved it, because I don't really know. I guess because
because it made it so you didn't have to feel anything else.
And
you got to sit and feel successful.
Yes,
Productive
that's
and successful.
Yes.
There's my bank account growing.
Yes.
And literally,
yes.
You slept maybe 6 hours a day. You were up at 5 a.m.
Yes.
I think you taking this time to train was also a little piece of taking away from that. Now, that being said, when you're running for 2 hours in a day, because how long would your marathon take?
Well, marathon will take
5?
6 hours. No, 6+ hours.
6 hours.
Yeah.
So even taking the 2 to 3 hours that it takes to run in a day, that's a big deal.
It is.
right? And that is partly you time, but also can we just talk about the fact that like, let's talk about my best friend, for example. She just did my coach's coaching program. And what did I tell you when I started my coach's coaching program? He basically was like, and now you're going to stop working out. And I was like, you think I'm going to what? And he's like, yeah. And now my exercises suddenly are purely stretching and I'm not allowed to lift any weights. I'm like, I don't know about this. And I did, of course, go to him and be like, is this? And he's like, do you want to be out of pain? And I was like, I'm going to shut the fuck up and do what I'm told right now. So I did just that. Don't get me wrong, it was one of the hardest transitions ever because I didn't get to go express my anger, my frustration, release massive amounts of endorphins by going. But can we also talk about the fact that when you go do those things, that's not necessarily the you time that your body's looking for? Because when you go do your workouts, whether it's running, whether it's working out, whether it's lifting weights, whether it's stretching, your body is going to release cortisol because you're putting it into a stressful situation. And the only practice that I have ever found that has made it so that that cortisol stops is yoga, because it puts you in the stressful situation. And as you start to release cortisol, you take breaths and it calms your body and stops the release of cortisol. It's scientifically proven, just saying. It is the only thing that you can do that is an activity that is a high energy activity that you can control the cortisol in and reduce your cortisol levels. So yoga, yes, should be considered your self-practice, self-time, self-care, whatever you want to call it. But going to the gym is not. And now my best friend is just started to get movement. I'm not even joking. She tried quitting on the coach a couple times. She was blaming him for everything. She was pointing fingers and complaining about everything. Like, I'm not even joking. It was like, I was like, dude, what is going on here? And then she called me and she's like, I told him I'm not doing it anymore. And I was like, okay, can we just talk about this? Because this has nothing to do with him. And it was like, she didn't even read my message. She just instantly FaceTimed me. It was like, let's talk about it then. And I was like, all right, let's get into this. Are you sure you're ready for this? And she was like, it's his fault, blah, blah, blah. And then I just kind of calmed her down. We talked about it. All of a sudden she's like, okay, so I suddenly have nothing to replace the endorphins or addiction that I'm typically feeling right now. Because he does that. If you guys are interested, you need to look up Wild Coach Dylan on Instagram. He is local, but he does do online things. However, to do his body work, you need to do an assessment with him. Next level guy. But he also digs into you. Like, he's not just a personal trainer. He's actually a rehabilitation coach. And that's what he has, like, I said to him a year ago almost, if I don't do this, I'm scared what my life will be like at 65 because I'm in so much pain. And he was like, okay. And so slowing down and doing the things that he told me to do, he helped me to figure out how to regulate my body and how to equal both sides out. So I'm not compensating on one side anymore, which causes me to have problems on the other side and all the things. He did the same thing for her, but the first thing they make you do is slow the fuck down. And that's the hardest thing for all of us, is the slow down part. And now you have an entire week right before the deadline, basically, of a goal. But also, can we talk about worst case scenario here and you can't run the marathon?
I mean, the cool thing about Joan, so Joan's my running coach at Joan Radford. I think that's yoga, your own great adventure. Anyways, she said these things right from the beginning. So part of me is like, oh, that
He
manifested.
jinxed me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not anything I ever
Not
thought.
at all.
And she did ask several times like how my body's feeling. And I think like has prepared me for the worst. She's like, listen, I've signed up for Ironmans in which the fee is like $750. And, I've been throwing up on, the night before, and I've just not gone the next day because why would I do that to myself? Why would I do that to my body? It's already like the Ironman in itself is a fucking marathon, a full
Swimming
swim,
thing
a
and
full
a full,
bike. Yeah.
yeah,
Like it's all three.
like
It's like
120 miles or something in total for an
like
Ironman.
three marathons together basically in one day. And why, like, that's enough. Why would you do that after puking all night? She said like the mind of an athlete can be very damaging to the body. And
Yeah.
so it's like, I feel like she's almost been preparing me for it, yet the other piece goes back, I guess, to people pleasing, because I'm like, but I've been like letting people know I've been doing this whole time. It's actually what got
But
me in the ice
how
bath
many
yesterday.
fighters have done the same shit? And
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds to me like the ice bath is going to be major because it's a major in healing. So definitely spending the next week doing the ice bath for sure is going to help with recovery. But let's talk about that, because how many fighters prep for a fight and then break a hand or break something and they can't fight? Like, this is the reality of training so to prep your body for something that then your body goes, okay, well, I'm as prepped as I'm going to get, or this is it for me. I just can't keep pushing.
Hmm.
Maybe I need more time.
And if I take the principles of what you're saying and apply it to my business, Friction has been like a one-person business for so many years, and I've been doing all of it. And I have the idea of, like, I heard this the other day, like, I want a copy of me, like, I want another me.
So funny, because me and my coach just talked about this, and the answer is no, you don't.
I know that's what I heard the other day is like, first of all, how narcissistic are you that you think you need another you? But you already have you, so it's not about having another you. And, like, my vibe attracts, I mean, I'm not even going to say it, my community. My vibe attracts my community. And therefore is like my outer world is a reflection of my inner world. So I can look at the fact that I haven't attracted in the right people because I've been in that mindset of the people that I'm attracting in. And
Yeah.
so there is this idea of like moving forward in a way that is sustainable, which is what I'm preaching right now, sustainable. Because on off, it didn't work. Here we
It burns
are,
you out.
fucking massive success, and then not working, and then not success. Like, that's not a sustainable business. So I need a team, and I need to like let people in, and I need to work this like an actual business, not just like my art, right? I don't need more
But
me.
you know what? It feels like what I just got from that when you said it. Do you know what I heard? What I hear is you letting go of the control,
Mm-hmm.
because you've been letting go of the control of all of the additional things in your life. And your business is like that one piece that you're like, well, this is the one thing I can control. And now you're like, but I can't control every aspect. And this was literally the conversation of my coach and I the other day when I said,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm showing up as a good leader. And he was like, what? Let's talk about why you say that. And I was like, well, my team. And he was like, hang on. He's like, you and I are so similar in our personalities. We're not the detail people. So we can't hire ourselves, because if we had a team of ourselves, all the details would get missed. And I was like, oh, touche. I was like, do we need the details though? He's like, clearly you do, because you're telling me that's where you're slacking right now. So let's talk about that. So I created that whole manual for my team. And I do know I need some more detail in it. Let's not kid here. But it's already helping my team. Like, they keep referring back to it. And Mohammed even came to me and was like, I'm seeing this here. I don't remember ever doing this. And I was like, then contact your clients. It's not your responsibility to get these things, but it can be your responsibility to ask them if they've seen it. Right? Like, for us, it's something simple like a WCB annual report. He's like, I don't think I've ever done one of these. I just filed the quarterly reports. And I was like, we have to reconcile that. It's the same as filing monthly income or monthly taxes. We still have to reconcile that. That's why we give people T4s. And so seeing that, like, the details need to be written out so that these people can pick them up, because I don't want someone like me, because then nothing will get everything will get done, but you'll be missing so much detail on the inside of what needs to be beautified.
That makes sense. It's not like I need another content creator. It's not like I need someone to make more courses for me. Like, I got all that. It's the other stuff that, like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to make a website, even though I'm learning, because I'm doing fucking
Ugh.
everything. Right?
No
Like,
websites, no. I see
landing
red and
pages, all this stuff.
no, 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 and no. I
And this
hire
is
somebody for that.
how I explain my way into like busyness, because my experience with website people and landing page people is very flaky. Like,
Yeah.
I've paid a lot of deposits to have people not finish things. At one point, my website was so diluted with like, well, I hired this person to come and do this thing and they brought on Beaver Builder. And then I hired this other person, they don't use Beaver Builder, they use Elementor, but I don't even know the language of it. So then on top of that, then this guy, my theme's outdated and this guy wants to add oxygen. And I'm just like, but because then someone comes and goes, I don't know what to do with your website. Like it's hanging on by a fucking thread because so many people have put in so many plugins. And now it's like, I need to redo it and that'll be $4,000. And it's like, so I had to learn the language because now I know not only do I need to hire someone to help me with my website, they need to know WordPress and they need to know Oxygen. And because adding another plugin is just going to make issues. So I like also have these excuses as controlling every fucking aspect. But here we are and it happened. And it's not like my business died or I did either. Like everything was fine. Sure, I had to pay someone $4,000 to build a new
But
website.
it costs money to make money. And I will tell you, my website has cost me like probably $35,000 at this point because it has been rebuilt. Let's talk about my bathroom. Okay. Because my bathrooms are such a perfect example of websites in the sense that I've had to redo them because I got cheap and hired cheap people to do the things. And then it turned out because I hired cheap people to do it, I had to hire a pro who I should have just hired in the first place and paid the $15,000 up front. Because if I had paid that $15,000, I wouldn't
have
be
cost
at
you
25,000 because I've done it fucking 3 times now.
Yeah.
Right. So also letting go of that piece, and that's that coming from lack as well. Like, because right now, well, I can't afford it. Well, immediately, nope. And you're not going to, because the universe is going to continue to bring you things so that you can't afford it because you've already decided you can't afford it.
Dude, I was like to everybody when Meridee and I were deciding like what to talk about, I'm like, we need to talk about how feeling is the secret. And this is literally what
it rolls into it. Yeah.
Because I literally have been over the last couple of weeks, I guess, I've been making decisions from a place of like, just wait. If I was not worried about anything financially, what would be my decision in this situation? Like every situation that I'm coming to. And then also like being aware of my people pleasing behaviors, because there is like a situation, right? And I have paid people to just fuck off and leave me alone so many times in my life because I don't want to
I
deal
walked away
with
with like $100,000 worth of someone else's debt because I just wanted them to fuck off and leave me alone. So
I'm also trying not to find that space of like avoidant, the anxious avoidant. Like if I had all of the money that I needed or wanted in the world, if I had $100,000 a month, my financial goal every month, and I've been making it and I continue to make it, what would I do in this situation? And so I'm actually like approaching my situations from that space, and that has changed everything. It's so funny since the fucking money conversation, relationship, it's like, do this every day and I promise you by the end of the week you will be a different person. And what the fuck that's here right now today is a different person than the person that listened on Tuesday night to the money relationship conversation. Like, this is it. I've been telling people I don't have a lot. Yeah, I'm like, okay, we'll call it the growing phase. I'm in the growing phase of this business and I can't keep hiring and putting money out when I'm not making any money. Well, that's not true. When I'm not making my normal currency. And then I was like, okay, well, I can't say it too much. And then now it's just like enough. And so it's like I have resources, and in order to grow, I need to do this. In order to grow, I need to hire somebody to fucking make the website. In order to grow, I need to get a course platform. In order to grow, I need to do this. And I'm doing it. And there's still the like, but what if it's a total fucking fail?
Okay, but what if we replace that what if with what if this is a complete fucking success? And that's literally where my brain has decided to go. I'll start to hear that shit and I'm like,
nope.
Wait, where are you? Oh, there you are. What if this was fucking amazing at the end of it?
Right.
Because I know that I am worthy of.
Right. Yeah.
I am worthy of being the success that I have always claimed to be, or claimed that I wanted. I am worthy of all of the enjoyment that comes with it. I'm worthy of being able to go on. Caden said to me yesterday, because we were sitting outside and we were talking, because I have this plan to build a deck, right? And it's going to be this great fancy deck, you guys. I saw it on. I don't have the space for this great fancy deck. I don't, but I want it. And I'm sure that they can like arrange this deck to be what I want it to be with the space that I have. That's why I've decided it. That being said, we all know that I need to replace the little pool that I had last year, which was perfect. It was perfect for everything we needed it for. We did ice baths in it. Like, it was fantastic. That being said, it's time for that pool to go. And so Caden and I went looking for a new pool yesterday, and like, I found this great one. It's half in ground, so you dig out the ground. Caden's like, yeah, I'll do it. $5,000 plus shipping and taxes. And I'm like, fuck, that's a lot of money. Well, it's not like I don't have the money right now, especially. And then Caden's like, it's too big. He actually went and measured it for me, and I'm like, shit, it won't fit. So then I go looking, and the universe works in mysterious ways, because I found a $3,500 pool that is the perfect pool. Yes, it's a little longer, 4 feet longer than my current one, but it was on sale for half price. I got it for $1,750 with
Nice.
taxes and shipping.
Nice.
So, and it's so much better. Like, it's the deep depth we wanted it to be. It's long, but it doesn't have pieces on the end. So the 18 feet is literally the 18 feet, which is all that I have for space. So it like all worked out just right, which is exactly how it's supposed to. Because what if it's just supposed to work out?
You know, even when you're saying worthy, it's like I feel like I haven't well, I guess maybe I have, and maybe there's more exploration there, because I do often like feel shitty when I walk past first class. So maybe it is like a worthiness. Yet, I don't mind being bougie as fuck. I don't mind spending money, and I don't mind like getting what I want or any of that. So I don't often go to like, I'm worthy of this. I go back to the feelings, because there are some, as I like imagine, okay, imagine for the next next 5 years, so 60 months, 50 months, 60 months.
No, 60 months.
60 months, I bring in $100,000 each and every month. I'm there. It's been happening. So like, who is that person? And there's like a
My
fear that
coach
pops
keeps
in.
saying,
Like,
yes. And what is the fear?
uh, it's failure. It's so
Of
similar.
losing it.
It's so similar to like not running the marathon. Like, I've been telling people I'm going to run a marathon, and what if I don't run it?
But okay, so can we talk about that? Because
Sure.
also in one of my books that I have read by Byron Katie, she's like, make friends with worst case scenario.
Right.
So what if you made $100,000 for 6 months and then didn't anymore? Fuck yeah, you just made $600,000 in a year, which is probably more than you've ever made in a year. So fuck yeah, I did, even if I'm not currently, and I know I've done it, which means I can do it again.
Right.
Also, what if you don't run the marathon? Then we go shopping in Vancouver and have a sisters weekend without 6 hours of you running. And we have fun in other ways while you set yourself up to start running again. And maybe while you're in Canada, you can get the knee braces that you need that'll really help you to successfully run it the next time. So that's where my brain goes. But what are the actual worst cases? Because this I think is part of what we like allow to ruin our shit in our lives, is this, well, what if I can't? Well, what if I can't? Well, have you even gone down the road of what if I can't?
Right.
It's the fear of what if I can't, but let's go down that road. What does it actually look like?
Right. Yeah. I mean, because logic will then start to kick in,
Yes.
right? Of like,
Yes.
well, it just looks like not running a marathon. Like, what's the truth? Is that I don't run a marathon, and I take maybe a month off of running, and then I start running again.
Yeah.
And then, maybe there's marathons here. There's one July the 23rd in Dominical, which I love. There's marathons in San Jose all the time. Like, I can run a half marathon. I can run 10K. Like,
you can run as many runs as you would like.
Yeah.
Yes, you've been training for this one as the goal, but here's
Yeah.
the other part is it's about the journey along the way. So
Right.
what? Now you didn't hit that goal, but that just means that your goal now gets moved. It doesn't mean
Right.
that it didn't happen. It means that the date and time we set, something has decided that it's not right.
And look at the fucking lessons. Like it's just so abundant in full on life. Like I mean, I post this shit all the time. Like there's two options in creating a business, right? It's like it's either fail or keep going. Like that's it. Like what even
Yeah, but
is
even that, the thing would it's not even fail, it's quit.
yeah,
Because you're not
fair.
actually fucking failing. It's either
Right.
you stop doing something or you keep doing something. Which way are you gonna go?
Right. Right.
Even one of my written affirmations is we only fail when we stop trying.
Yeah, it's so true.
The video of gold, man, when people are digging and it's right there and they're like, oh, I just can't anymore. I can't
Yeah,
give up. When I die, I will stop trying to make laser
right.
quit what it is.
Right.
So when you die, you can stop trying to make this marathon its thing. When you die, you can stop trying to make $100,000 a month.
Right.
It's not failure. Because failure typically is not even what everybody makes it out to be. Because to me, failure is feedback. Failure is saying what you're doing right now isn't working.
Right.
And for
Yeah,
you, that's
right.
exactly what's happening. It said, hey, my shoulder hurts. And you were like, shh, I've got this. And then you kept
I've
going.
been
And
here
then your
before.
body's
Don't
like,
worry.
yeah. And then your body's like, nah, bro, you ain't listening. I'm going to make you listen. And now, like, what if maybe this shoulder thing actually happened 2 weeks ago and you had listened to it and maybe not run for 2 days? Maybe you wouldn't have to take an entire week off. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we're extending our own misery by doing the
Yeah.
things we continue to do because we're ignoring what the universe is saying in the first place.
Oh, I just had like a embodied feeling of that, of like now coming to this space and feeling okay with not running the marathon. Had I felt that, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever that run was, had I felt that and just not ran that day, like it's not an option. That does feel like a failure, yet that wasn't like, wow.
So can we also talk about my girlfriend in Kamloops who is also running the marathon? And she I don't know exactly what she had done, and I'm not going to say names, but I think she must have had like she had some kind of nasal surgery. I don't know if it was to like a nose job or what. I don't know what she had done, but she had some kind of nasal surgery. She got up and went to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Apparently, you would probably know this. Apparently, it's very normal to faint after something like this. She was walking back from the bathroom, fainted, no hands, no nothing, fucking face planted her hallway so hard that she broke her nose, she broke her cheekbones, and knocked out a bunch of teeth. She broke three of her ribs and a bunch of other, like, fucked herself up. She didn't do anything for 8 weeks because of this, and her plan was to run the marathon. And she started to feel better in I'm going to say the last 3 weeks that I've seen her at the gym again. She talks to you like this because she's missing one of her teeth, because literally it knocked out all her teeth. And when they popped her up, they did what they did to Uncle Andy and just kind of put her teeth back in. And some of them didn't stick. So she has to go get implants and veneers and
Oh,
all these things. Yeah, like awful experience. And then when I'm talking to her, only because I know her so well, I can see how this part is so swollen and broken because she broke these cheekbones and the nose. Can you imagine?
no.
And now she's running to do the marathon because she's like, I told people I would do it. And I was like, doesn't that like bouncing hurt? And she's like, well, a little. And I was like, did your doctor say like this is okay? And she's like, at this point, until I start falling on my face, and I'm going to keep doing what I need to do. And this is where I think this is her trauma response,
Yes.
because she's pushing through even more pain. Like, she just broke like her face and her body. Oh, by the way, and her hands. She broke one wrist and broke a hand.
Oh my gosh.
And she's a hairdresser. That's how hard she fell in the middle of the night. Her boyfriend was staying over. They're not together anymore, but her boyfriend was staying over, and he found her in the hallway, blood everywhere.
Oh my
Like,
God.
and she plans on running the marathon in 2 weeks.
And I feel bad about my little knee pain. And more honoring of my body. Like
Yes.
I can see that mindset
And how it's a trauma
prior
response.
to this fucking downs
Now, can we talk
phase.
about the fact that like the last thing we need is you getting up in the middle of the night and falling with no hands and breaking your face and all the things just to
Yeah,
get a point that maybe you
exactly.
shouldn't run a
Yeah.
marathon,
If I don't
right?
want
Like,
to listen to the smack, I'm going to get a 2x4 to the head. Right?
yes. So it was just very, and it's interesting that that has even surfaced for this conversation because I've been talking to her for like the last 4 weeks with her at the gym.
Right.
Her swelling is starting to go down. She's starting to get back to work because she does hair, like I said. So she's starting to get back to work.
Wow.
But like that all happened from her getting up in the middle of the night, going to the bathroom, and on her way back from the bathroom to her bed, she passed out and hit the floor.
Wow. Well, that feels like a full on, I mean, make your choice here, because it's so clear, to be hearing her situation, being like, dude, take some time. Like, you don't have to run the marathon. Like, what's the point of running the marathon?
And so, like, yes, you guys heard she's at a whole nother level of pain here in what she's been through. But the point isn't about comparing trauma, because that's
Right.
exactly what you would be doing. This is the exact same situation in a different light.
Right. Right.
Do you really have to run this marathon?
Right.
Let's see what happens with the week off. Let's see, because I know also I took a week off because I was sick. Getting back to the gym, those first few workouts are fucking hard.
Yeah.
You don't feel as strong. You don't feel like you feel like you've lost a lot. You haven't, but it feels like you have. So seeing what happens moving forward, what's literally making friends with worst case scenario is worst case scenario. You don't go.
Right.
If we're talking about the marathon, then we could just go to worst case scenario. You keep pushing and end up like my friend
Right.
and fucking
Exactly.
yourself up 10 times worse.
Yeah. Maybe not
Or
ever running
running the
again.
marathon, or running the marathon and tearing a meniscus or whatever ACL or any of the shit in your knee that then makes this so that you're waiting for surgery. You're
Right.
definitely not running for a year or longer.
Yeah.
Like, and this was the conversation I had with my best friend about her sciatica. Well, I just have to do something. Well, no, because everything you're doing is making it worse.
Right.
Clearly, the universe has and your body have said, stop doing things. I'm done. And that alone is for me, and I get it because it's so hard, even at that point, to be
Yeah.
like, okay, it's time to settle down now.
I think that runs into perfectly like how do we create a work life balance? And
Balance.
that looks like number one is like, yeah, I mean, be friends with worst case scenario,
Yes.
walk down that path and really see
Sit
what's
with it.
there.
Sit with it. Because the question you hear when you start going down the path, suddenly all this logical stuff comes up, and really the worst case scenario doesn't seem so bad.
Right.
Like this one, in the sense that what's the worst case if Lynn doesn't run the marathon? Oh, she doesn't run a marathon and she can run a million other ones. All right, then.
Yeah.
Right. So that's going to definitely be one of the major tips that we give you. Another is, I have to keep pushing this, is self-care.
Yeah.
Now, what I mean by that is not just taking time to go to the gym if that's what brings you joy, or go do yoga if that's what brings you joy. For me, those things release endorphins. They make me feel good. They make me feel disciplined. There's pieces about them that add to my self-care. But the way I feel because of those things also is part of my self-care. So I don't feel fat and gross if I'm working out. And no, I'm not working out so I don't feel fat and gross. I work out because that's what's healthy. That's what's going to keep me alive longer. It's going to also reduce my pain, because when I sit around and do nothing, I can tell you I hurt a lot more than anything else. And it makes me feel good. And then the side effect is that now 6 months later, I have this booty that I didn't even know that I could grow. My legs are great. Like, there's side effects to this, which has been super beneficial. And yet the way this all started was because I didn't want to be in pain anymore.
Right. I mean, essentially, in order to create the environment to have the most successful mental health is to sleep, to eat
Mhm.
well, and to
Mhm.
have some form of exercise. So
Yes.
self-care is that. It's not
Yes.
getting your nails done. It's not getting massage.
I
Those
mean, it
can
can.
constitute those, but they're
Yeah.
not it, because I've been to the place of doing all of those things and doing it
Okay, from a
to
place
the
of
point where
depression.
it's fucking like, I gotta get to my massage appointment. You
Yes.
motherfucker. Like, that's not self-care,
Yes.
because my schedule is so full, and I just added these. It's like really taking care of yourself, making sure you're eating well, making sure
Yes.
that you're exercising every day in some form. Okay, for me, this looks a little bit different for the next week. And my coach has been clear about what that does look like, so that I don't end up bending my knee past 90 degrees for the next week, you know,
Not
and
just that, but taking that time off of the gym is so good. Rest is so much more important than working out. So much more. Like I took a week off because I was sick. Yeah. But when I went back to the gym, man, my body was like, ooh, yeah.
yeah,
And like muscles filled with blood and all
yeah,
these things. Like my body was like, oh, yes, thank you for the time off. And thank you for bringing me back.
right. Totally.
Now, that being said, also, I definitely say do the things. So I paint my own fingernails. Let's not talk about what a disaster they are right now. But I paint my own fingernails once a week because it makes me feel pretty to look at my real fingernails and see pretty nails. Um, Having my hair cut makes me feel good. And with short hair, the difference between a bad haircut and a good haircut is 2 weeks. So even when you get a bad haircut, we don't even care. But getting my haircuts makes me feel good. Putting some makeup on makes me feel good. So that when I look in the mirror, I don't look at myself and want to beat myself up necessarily. I'm more compassionate with myself. Because also it makes you feel good to do these things. It doesn't need to be the definition of feel good, and it shouldn't be the only time you feel good, but to enhance yourself and make yourself feel good, it definitely needs to be a part of it. Get dressed up once in a while. Date yourself is the thing I've just recently learned. Take yourself out for dinner. Take yourself out to do things that you want to do. Today, I am actually going to go and I'm going to a volunteer fair today because I was saying to myself, I feel like even though I'm contributing financially to things, and of course, the children's hospital, because Brooke was preemie and that's where my passion is. I feel like I need to contribute some time. Now, that being said, the next 2 weeks, I'm aware that during this period, I don't have time for volunteer, and a lot of people don't. But I can make the time, and I think it would make me feel even more fulfilled if I started donating some of my time. As I say that, I sit down with this lady and I'm like, yeah, I feel like blah, blah, blah. And she just puts like $6,000 worth of like donations in front of me. And I'm like, holy shit. And then we start talking and I'm like, I feel like I would like to do some more like volunteer time. And she's like, oh, well, that's interesting because they're having a volunteer fair this weekend in Kamloops. And I was like, what? And so it's like all the tables of the places that you can volunteer are there telling you about their purpose and that they need your help. And they're all sitting around this fair basically. And I
Well,
was like,
that's
well, that's
cool.
perfect.
Great.
So I'm going up to go do that because that's going to be also a thing that fills my bucket. Giving to other people is also a part of your self-care. If you
Being
don't
of
have the time,
being
then
of
donate the
service.
money. Yes,
Being
being
of
of service.
service. Yeah.
And so if you don't have time to donate, then donate your money. Or if you can do both. Right? So those are some of the major self-care tips that I would have for you guys. Finding balance. It's hard to find balance when basically you have 24 hours in a day between driving to and from your work. You're at least 10 hours of your day there when you're only awake typically for 16 hours. So
Well,
now you have
it's
6 hours.
planning your day. It's really
Yeah. So
planning
now
your
you
day.
have 6 hours to include your mornings, your evenings, your time with your kids, and your private time. So find ways to do it. For me, I found I had to work less. Basically, that's what it came down to. I needed to work a little less so that I could enjoy my life, especially when my kids were younger. Now, tax season this year, I've like had no problem doing the extra hours because I don't have somebody to come home and make dinner for and take care of and all of those things. So find ways that bring you things that bring you joy and spend time doing them, even if that's like crafting, you know, maybe you can sell your crafts at a later date. Find things that make you feel good. What about you? Do you have any tips for people that you can think of?
Yeah, I do think like in general it's balance overall, and that to me, I always say, like, spoiler alert, that's what yoga is all about. Yoga is about finding balance, and the only way that one finds balance is if they're present, and that's it. Like, to be conscious of what you're doing in that moment, because we're always okay when we're present. And then we can come to that conclusion of like yesterday, just pulling out the floaty and floating in the pool for an hour, even though I had so much to do. It's like in that moment, I'm okay. And in that moment, I definitely need to take a break and I need some vitamin D. And like, so to me, I think the most important thing that we can do is be present. And when we're like these very important, valuable ideas around routine, getting clear on how we're spending our time, and then showing up with these daily practices like visualization and journaling that are, I
Get
think,
off your
essential.
phone.
Yeah.
Get off your phone. Because you probably, if you look at your shit at the end of the day, you're probably spending 3 to 5 hours. So I read this thing that said that the average Canadian spends 3.5 to 5 hours a day per week or every week on their phone. I have mine comes up and it tells me that now, including my meditations that are considered to run, they run for 3 hours while I sleep, including that, I'm only spending 5 hours. And there's 3 hours a day of meditation. That means that 2 hours of my time is spent on my phone, and it's always conscious. You'll notice at this time of year, I don't have a lot of time, so I don't spend any time on it at all, basically. And when I do, it's like to quickly share to people that I care about, and it's usually things that I've been shared that I then share, that type of thing, or to consciously go on social and tell people my story or whatever it is. So get rid of the phone, you guys. It's not serving you the way that you think it is.
Disconnect for sure.
Big time.
Netflix. Like, take time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's great. I think it's a good stopping point. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for joining us on this spirited journey today.
We hope you enjoyed diving into the world of self-improvement with us. Two sisters who found their own unique paths.
Remember, life is a tapestry of experiences, and it's how we embrace them that makes all the difference.
So whether you're on your yoga mat, exploring mindfulness, or simply navigating life's twists and turns, always keep that spirit and sass alive.
We are Colynn and Meridee Hlokoff, and we're here to remind you that happiness and abundance are within reach.
Stay connected with us on social media and keep those questions and stories coming. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, beautiful souls, keep doing the work, keep sharing your experiences, and keep living a life that's authentically you.
And never forget to add a little extra sass to your day.
Spirit and sass, always.